Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah. Well, I can address...
That would be what we call a disruption.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to, because we're completely opposite ends on the spectrum of data that we've been submitted to look at. So I'm asking for some honest clarification between what you submitted and what was submitted to us a couple of hours ago, which says that your report doesn't focus accurately on the economics.
I saw that, and I've had consternation over this approach to economics for quite some time. I have a copy of the letter here. I was looking at that about an hour ago. We've heard this criticism before. They're basically saying that we cannot take expenditures for equipment, include them in the economic impacts. That you only can do the economic analysis based on travel expenditures. As an economist, we do that frequently, and we agree with that approach in the right situation. If you're dealing, say, with the bag limit change, going from 12 fish to 5 fish limit, you're talking about small marginal change. People are not going to stop buying boats and trailers over that small of a change. In that case, is appropriate use. In this situation, you're talking about a major structural change to recreational fishing. You're going to change people's habits. You're going to change the way that their expenditures for major equipment. Today, you heard from some major fish and tackle companies. You heard from some retailers, people that make a living selling equipment. They wouldn't be here if they didn't see the impacts coming to them. We cannot say as a process, hey, you sell equipment, you sell fish and tackle, you sell boats, you sell kayaks, you're not going to be affected by this. We can't look at them in the face and tell them that. Yet, this approach that NOAA wants us to use would do that. And it says so here in the letter. It's not appropriate to use annual expenditures, and that's equipment. And so we know that's not true based on the comments we heard here today. There's other problems in the letter, their approach they took here about the methodology. And I have serious concerns about their methodology. Excuse me. Like, for example, looking at what happened in the dry tortugas in Florida Keys.
I think Bill, did you get your question?
I got the gist of your question. I mean, it's just important. It's a very important issue for us in the task force. It's a very important issue for me personally in terms of the economics. And I just think it's important that we get the facts as clearly and as succinctly as we can. And I appreciate the members of the public that are here tonight to allow us to ask these questions in a little more detail, because this is one of the major overriding issues in this process is the economics, as well as some of the other major requirements of the Act. So I'm concerned that we get some of these issues out on the table. So thank you for that.
Well said, Bill. I think Greg also has a question.
Yeah, just two quick questions, and we'll try to make them intelligent as late as it is today. It sounds to me like you're talking about what we consider, or we've been talking about, as a multiplier effect of sorts. That makes a lot of sense to me, but I'm also wondering, are there other sources other than the equipment? I mean, for example, if you're out sport fishing, you're buying licenses, you are funding certain funds. I think there's a sport fish restoration fund that's pretty significant. Is that included in this multiplier effect concept?
Actually, that is not. In our numbers, we show that fishing in Southern California is a $2.1 billion affair for saltwater fisheries, but we do not include the excise taxes. You're familiar with that, the impact, what's lost? What happens is that when we lose fishing, even the person who goes fishing once a year versus 3 times a year, they're still buying a license. What they're doing is they're not buying as much equipment. The major source of conservation funding for marine habitats is this excise tax placed by the federal government on fishing equipment and boat fuel. And that was worth about $20 million last year in the state of California. So if we need conservation funding to effect proper research in the future, you need to have anglers out there because they are the major source of funding. If you cut down to the bone enough, the structural changes I was referring to, then you start losing anglers, and that's when you start losing license revenue. That was another $60 million last year in the state of California for fisheries management and research, and right now there's no other source of replacement funds. It's $80 million a year that starts to get chipped down by changes that we're talking about. Was that to the point that you're asking?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Okay. All right. Thank you.